I'm Donna. Does everyone here plan to live to be a ripe old age? I certainly do, and I hope to be able to live on my own as long as humanly possible. In the words of the Beatles, I plan to get by with a little help from my friends. Now I'd like to tell you a brief story about a very independent lady, my Aunt Leona. She met and married a handsome soldier at the end of World War II. That soldier was my uncle. They built a very nice life together. They weren't wealthy, but they could pay their bills and lived comfortably. When I was a senior in high school, they moved to my hometown. They bought a nice little 2-bedroom house, nothing much to look at, but it provided them with everything that they needed. Unfortunately, not long after that, my uncle passed away of cancer. My aunt handled his death well. She, being the independent person she'd always been, became very active in the Senior Citizen Center and became a very active participant in her church. She drove her own car and mowed her own lawn and was there to help her neighbors anytime that they needed assistance. At 91, she began to lose her vision. This was about 5 years ago. She had to give up her driver's license and was forced to stay home and could no longer be as active and participate in her community. By this time, my mom had passed away, and she was the only remaining family in that town. I'm her nearest relative, and I live 2 hours away, so it's very difficult to be there to help her with all her needs. However, she and I discovered something that's made a big difference in her life. Meals on Wheels. They not only provide her with a nutritious meal Monday through Friday, but a few minutes of companionship and a needed safety check. Let me tell you some statistics about the other Aunt Leonas of the world. A significant portion of the population of the United States is comprised of older people who live alone and no longer have the ability to access transportation for purchasing their groceries. The U.S. Census Bureau classifies people 85 and older as the oldest old group. And from 1960 to 1990, this group of the population grew 274% compared to the overall population, which only increased by 45%. According to Frank Hobbs of the Census Bureau, this group is projected to be the fastest growing segment of the elderly population for some time to come. This is the part of the population that, if not institutionalized or living with relatives, they're often isolated and completely alone. The United States Administration on Aging in 2009 reported that approximately 30.1% of all non-institutionalized older persons lived alone. That's approximately 11.4 million people who spend a majority of their time alone. As they age, the physical act of buying groceries and cooking is just often not possible to be done independently. Well, what can make a difference in the lives of these lonely Americans? Meals on Wheels. It's an organization dedicated to feeding senior Americans. This organization employs thousands of professionals to plan and organize their programs, but their strength is in their volunteers. According to their website, Meals on Wheels has between 800,000 and 1.7 million volunteers. While this seems like a lot, you have to remember they're not all available every day, and the number of seniors is growing rapidly. These volunteers go to the office, pick up their bags with the meals, and go on their route and make a difference in the lives of seniors in their community. Meals on Wheels provides over 1 million meals to seniors every weekday. I would like for you to picture with me a kind, sweet grandma who's never asked to be a burden or needed help from anyone. She now spends most of her time home alone. The smile she displays when the Meals on Wheels worker knocks on her door will touch your heart. The Annals of Nutrition and Metabolism reported that living alone can seriously affect the dietary intake of adults, of senior adults. So it's much more than just the food. Although nutrition is important, it's the human contact with the outside world, the connection that they used to have, that's so valuable. These volunteers are heroes in many ways. Besides nutrition and companionship, they provide a safety check for these elders. If an elderly person lives alone and falls, it could be days or much longer before anyone notices and sends for help. But with the safety net of someone at least coming to the house 5 days a week, these seniors know that the Meals on Wheels people will be coming by and that they can call for help if needed. The International Journal of Nursing mentions the importance of helping seniors to remain in their home as long as possible. This provides and helps them keep their sense of connection with the past. Now, I've told you about my aunt, the statistics of aging Americans, and the amazing services provided for Meals on Wheels. Well, what's left to say? Get involved! I'm asking each of you to get involved with the Meals on Wheels program in your area. It can be as simple as volunteering 1 day a week, 1 day a month, or 1 day a year. Whatever you can do will be greatly appreciated. You and this organization can provide a lifeline physically, socially, and emotionally to our elderly population. I will assure you this will be one of the most rewarding things that you've done. In closing, please remember people like my Aunt Leona, people who deserve to live on their own as long as possible. All they need is a little help from their friends to finish living out their lives with dignity. Please encourage people to participate in Meals on Wheels for the 11.4 million people who are old in the U.S. today, and for the one old person that you'll be someday. Thank you.